facing off against the representative from Canada, the red Zerg player in the top right. That was a nice little voice crack.
It was a good one.
Representing Brave Star Gaming, Scarlett.
Don't worry, my voice is gone. Like, what you guys don't hear is I'm coughing every, like, 30 seconds, like a 70-year-old who smokes 40 a day. Oh, for fuck's sake.
All right.
That's a joke that only me and you get. No one else on Earth would get that joke. Maybe
all
charisma.
Right. Maybe charisma. That's what I was thinking. He used wheezing in the VDC the RVDC tournament. He used Kanto wheezing.
Jeez.
All right.
Hatch gas pool here from Scarlett. Vindicta looking like he's going for a Reaper expand. We have been seeing a few Marine expands coming out here, but not typically against Zerg, where you want to get out and at least be a little bit of a nuisance and force out those 2 sets of Lings minimum. Vindicta going to make that go down. Keep a CC down on the low ground, and just right now, it's TVZ, man.
Yeah, man, TVZ, not too much. I was going to say, this is the part of the game in TVZ where like nothing really weird ever happens, but then I remembered that Solier put a proxy hatch outside of Soul's base and won yesterday, so not quite true, but generally speaking, there's not too much variation within the first couple of minutes. The main question is going to be really sort of, the first question is whether or not it's going to be a 2-1-1, which it almost never is these days, and the answer is no, it's not. And then the second question is really, we just kind of keep an eye on Vindicta. See, is it going to be Banshees, maybe some Ravens, BC opener? We'll have to see what he decides to do. Vindicta is generally, in this matchup, the Terran player will be the player sort of dictating the pace of the game in most macro games. So we'll have to see exactly what Vindicta chooses to opt for.
I've never really sat here and watched the animations of a CC building, so I've been doing that for the last few seconds.
There's a really fast Roach Warren, actually, from Scarlett.
That's really fast.
That's really fast.
And Scarlett, of course, the kind of player who will throw in some hyper-aggression. Now, has she kept 3 drones on gas this entire time? Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, she's had 3 drones mining the entire time. So this could be just like a little bit of a poker prod with like four Ravagers to try to apply some pressure and try to do some damage and trade efficiently. Doesn't necessarily need to be an all-in. There's no Ling speed, so it's not going to be some kind of Ravager Ling all-in. It looks to me just like a little bit of very aggressive pressure rather than some kind of a committed attack.
Yeah, Vindicta did bring his Reaper all the way home just to make sure he can take out these Lings that were poking and prodding at his main, but he finished that CC off with perfect timing. Didn't lose the drone. No units going down at all here for Vindicta. Scarlett has lost those first 4 Lings, but it's relatively to be expected. And as you said, the onus is on Vindicta here to find something. It looks like he is going to swap over the Banshee, the Starport onto the Tech Lab here. And what do you think we see? Are we going to see like a Raven opener, or is it going to be Cloak Banshees maybe?
I feel like Banshees tend to be more common in NA. Whereas Ravens tend to be like kind of the flavor of the month right now in Europe, it seems, from the games that I've seen recently at least, and it is going to be a Cloak Banshee out of Vindicta, but that is, I mean, it's going to be the better call for him. I mean, a Banshee is better at dealing with what's coming than a Raven, but really, this is a lot more of a committal than I was expecting out of Scarlett. I don't expect us to see more units behind, and she does start 4 drones up, but still, this is a lot of damage output so far. Vindicta doing a decent job trying to delay, using a couple Reaper shots here and there. There's not really that much in the way of Ravagers, so the Vials are not going to be able to sort of bust down the supply depot quite as quickly as they otherwise would be able to. Decent micro so far to dodge with a couple of the workers, but 5 is going down so far, and a good denial now on those Ravager cocoons. He's doing a good job with this Banshee. The Banshee going to be able to slowly but surely whittle these away, but still, already a great trade for Scarlett. A fantastic trade for Scarlett.
Yeah, I agree with you there. 9 workers in total have gone down in this game. That number still rising. Now 10, 11. This is very, very good. If it was 4 or 5, we'd be like, okay, this is fine for both. Last, we'd have said it was very good for Vindicta. But now 12 in total. Put that into 20 SCV, Stefan. Scarlett has nearly 50 drones.
Yeah, this is a big problem for Vindicta. The nice thing is that he does have this 3rd CC nearing completion, so he will be able to reproduce those SCVs relatively quickly, but he is going to be absolutely playing this game out from behind. Scarlett now almost up to the lair tech, has plenty of drones mining off of these 3 bases at this point, and is already getting started on that famous Scarlett creep spread.
Yeah. Spore Crawlers down here as well for Scarlett. Meaning these Cloak Banshees can be frustrating. They can certainly work away on any gas mining drones, but they're really not going to get critical damage like Scarlett managed to find in the early game. Scarlett behind this is in full macro mode. Double Evo chambers, as you said. The lair is now completed. I wouldn't be surprised to see a fourth too long from now, and we can see Vindicta. He's going to try, and as I said, these gas mining drones always very vulnerable to Banshees, are able to one-shot them, but they're not going to find that much.
Still, a little bit of damage is good. Vindicta needs to try to claw every little bit of damage that he can out of this while also maintaining those Banshees. That's one of the most important things. He can't just be losing units willy-nilly around the map, so good on him to maintain them with quite high HP. They'll be able to continue looking for a couple of openings here and there. Behind that, the 1-1 starts on up for the Terran player, as well as for Scarlett, who is going for the range upgrade. So completely foregoing Lings, opting for a Roach-centric style. Probably going to be seeing some Hydras and some Lurkers down the line if the game goes that long. And, well, yeah, we'll see exactly what she decides to play.
She's about to breach 70 workers in 6.5 minutes. Vindicta
after making 37. A bunch of roaches, yeah.
It's just her macro so on point, obviously not missing a beat behind the attack, and also just having the freedom, knowing that there was no ground army, right? Usually when there's Cloak Banshees, there's Hellions coming in too, plus the Reaper, to do that joint harass that forces out so many more units. Scarlett didn't have to make anything. She made those roaches. Has she made those 6 lings in this game, right? Has she made any other lings? No.
No, she didn't. She doesn't even have link speed. So I feel like what we may be seeing here out of Scarlett is that obviously we saw that earlier in attack, and I think that might have been part of a bigger plan for a twofold attack. I think we may see a really big timing of the 1-1 here. We see a lot of Roaches coming on out. Yeah, just Roach Ravager, I think, is going to be the game plan here, because she can always go into Hydras behind it, right? Go up to a 4th base behind it. But I think the game plan is, you know what, do so much damage in the early game that Vindicta is just physically not able to have enough units to hold the follow-up push. I think that's probably what she's going to be looking for. We already see a pretty sizable supply lead. Vindicta, though, doing a pretty good job at recovering this SCV number. He has a couple tanks up and very good positions already. We'll see. If Scarlett doesn't execute the push perfectly, maybe there's something that Vindicta can do here. And Vindicta now with a double drop, 1 down to the south, 1 to the north, trying to catch Scarlett with this multitasking. And really, there's not that much in. The Maiden's going to be able to target down a couple of workers and get out. Not a lot of damage done, but still, it's free damage. Hasn't lost any Marines for this.
The Ravager count is pretty good at 6 already. And they're going to be able to raid out so much. I mean, this CC has to be evacuated. These CVs are going to be able to get out, which is nice. But the depots go down. This is a big supply block here for Vindicta, who needs every unit you can get right now. 2-2 has started up. Behind this, and Scarlett is getting a 4th hatchery. She's making 9 more drones to surpass that 70 mark. So this is by no means all in here from Scarlett. Of course, her attack is a little bit slow. There is no further attack here. There's no Hydra, and there's no Lurker down off the back of that. There's no Spire or anything along those lines. Her army, though, and the Lurker count specifically getting very, very high. She's now moving up to 4 bases. Vindicta isn't going to be able to take this 3rd. All of tank shots doing a good job here. Finally, they're going to be cleaned up, though. And that now frees up Scarlett to take complete control of this low ground. And that means all these workers in the natural, all these depots, everything is just under duress here for Vindicta. I feel bad for the guy. This has just not been his game. But Scarlett finding absolutely critical damage early on. And now, I mean, these SCVs are going to just run away.
Yeah, and I think another big problem is that Vindicta's only real chance to win this game was with this drop counterattack, but he hit just a little bit too late. Didn't really find the damage. Killed a lot of queens, which is nice, but it's not what he needs right now. He's going to continue to be very supply blocked as more and more depots go down. Just cannot produce the units he needs to be able to take out that attacking force, and Scarlett's going to take game number 1.
Yeah, that was as clean can be. Very, very nice there from Scarlett. Of course, we always like to see Scarlett in top form. She's absolutely amazing. And throughout this tournament, she's been improving. She came into it maybe with a little bit lacking on practice, and it kind of showed in her gameplay. She wasn't as crisp in her first series. I believe she did lose her first series. Oh no, she beat Silky.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, though. She had like even yesterday against Cuddlebear, she didn't look super on point. She looked good, but she didn't look like, you know, top tier Scarlett. There are many levels of Scarlett. I think we can all agree. And she didn't look yesterday like the best version of herself.
No.
Today, she looks very crisp so far in that first game. Really, really well played.
She handled the drops almost perfectly. She had the reinforcements. Her macro did not slip. It didn't. It was perfect. Her drone count was always consistent. She was spending her money. She defended. She attacked perfectly. Maybe if we really pick it apart, she didn't buy all the tanks quite quick enough in the final fight. But that's literally grasping at straws to find some kind of weakness in Scarlett's play, because that was just a clean game. Now, you know Vindicta. What would you tell him? What would you say to Miguel right now?
I mean, honestly, he's clearly. I'm sure he's prepped for this series. I'm sure he has builds planned. He just needs to do what he has planned, see if he can make it work. I mean, Vindicta is not really the cheekiest of players. He likes to be very aggressive. He likes to really dictate the pace of the game, but in a more standard way. He's not the kind of guy who's going to be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to dictate the pace of the game by building 6 barracks in your main. Like that's not really his style. So he just needs to do what he's practiced, and just needs to, I guess, just try to be a little bit cleaner and a little bit crisper. Maybe keep up the scouting a little bit better, because really, I mean, that kind of a build, if you scout the Roach War and you're able to hold it very, very easily. Unfortunately, though, Scarlett did a very, very good job denying that. So we'll have to see exactly what Vindicta has planned this time around. We'll have to see if Scarlett has something cheeky planned this game as well.
It wouldn't surprise me, you know. She's certainly, every day I feel like I've seen a different version of Scarlett in the way she plays. I saw her, was it me and Creighton, or was it me and M Canning? I can't remember. It may even have been me and you. No, it wasn't me and you. She went for 2 base Hydras, but then just sat at home. She took her third at like 6.5 minutes as a Zerg, and just made a few Hydras. No,
because I feel like
that was on mainstream, I think.
Okay,
it was against a person.
Oh, that's okay. That
plays video games. I don't remember, honestly.
We're narrowing it down. All right, so it's not. It wasn't against my dad. All right, so that's one person's
against me.
That's not true. You play video games.
I do. But I've never played Scarlett.
So, fair. Everything looking pretty normal thus far. I mean, it's not quite at the part of the game where we're going to see too much. We can do the first thing where we cross the potential 2-1-1 off the list of potential builds. It's not going to be that.
It's not Vindicta, is it?
No, it really isn't. I mean, honestly, it's just not that good a build anymore. Like, it's a great way to play against players who are worse than you, because you can really apply pressure and deny creep and really just try to use that multitasking to your best advantage. And that's why we see players like Maru using that build still quite a lot, because Maru is better than everyone almost, so it's pretty good for him. Whereas Vindicta, I don't think Vindicta considers himself the stronger player in this matchup. 2-on-1 is not really a smart play in that situation, and he's not going for it, going instead for this factory. We'll have to see if it's going to be
quick Banshees again. Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, a quick CC with Banshees. I think 3 CC Banshee makes sense. I honestly think he'll go for the same thing he went for last game.
Yeah, I think it's kind of frustrating when you have a build like that planned. You don't pull it off. You kind of want to do it again. It's very tempting to fall into that. We will see the starport go down, and as that completes, we'll get our first real idea. Meanwhile, Scarlett getting her third after just 2 queens. We have seen some Zergs taking a little bit later. She has pick up 4 Lings, I believe. Yep. Losing one of them to that Reaper, who really, of course, only picks up that Ling, but nothing else.
I do like the Overlord speed coming in from Scarlett.
Yeah,
this is I mean, there, for a while, Overlord speed was super common in like every single matchup except for ZBZ.
Still does it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still good though. That's the thing, right? Especially if you're playing against somebody who you think that you're better than.
Yeah.
It's a great way to just make sure that you're not going to be caught off guard by anything super weird. One of the things that sticks out to me is like there was a time, I think this was 2017, when everyone was doing it in like every matchup.
When it first got the buff, right? It would have been 2017.
Great, yeah. And there was a great quote from Solar talking about ZBP, or about ZBP, when he was like, somebody asked him in an interview about like, why don't you go for Overlord speed? Everyone else goes for Overlord speed. And he's like, yeah, but it costs money. He's like, yeah, Overlord speed is a great way to see what you're going to die to before you die to it. Like, you don't have the money. But nowadays, I mean,
it is cheap.
You don't really, especially in ZBT, right? Like, she's not going to miss the minerals and gas from the Overlord speed upgrade. So it's a really nice way to just make sure that it's not like oh, I don't know, really fast refactory Cyclone. Or
yeah, or
really
two-starport BC was kind of a thing for a while.
Yeah.
And that, if you're not prepared for it, you die. Like, you do die. Yeah. Now, we may see a Viking or a Liberator come out here from Vindicta. I think it may be a Lib, as he saves up a little bit of cash. He has the money. He's not added an add-on yet to the starport, which I find a little odd. He's adding on a couple of extra racks, of course. Okay, he is just going to get the add-on, and he's not going to produce anything from this early starport. So really looking at the macro side of things here, this third is on the way at a healthy time. He did produce one Viking. Oh, okay, I just missed it. I'm dumb. So able to push back Overlords, and that can be nice for setting up some future drops and things like that. But for now, Vindicta, just content to play this out. The scary thing right now for him, though, is Scarlett is just free to drone.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like this is really Vindicta's kind of a game, though, right? Like, I talked about this a little bit with Creighton yesterday when Silky was playing against Neeb. It's like, yeah, okay. In general, if we're talking about, like, what does Neeb lose to the most? It's going to be random stuff, right?
Yes.
Like, random weird builds. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's Silky's best way to beat Neeb, because Silky is a solid macro player. Almost all of the practice is solid macro. I feel like the same, maybe to a slightly lesser extent, can be said for this series, right? Where it's like Vindicta practices macro on ladder. He very rarely does weird all-ins and stuff. So even though the best way to beat Scarlett might be with like some wacky all-in, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best way for Vindicta to beat Scarlett.
Yeah. If you are a player, and we'll use Vindicta as a continued example, who is that who only practices bio, free base, maybe you do like a free base 2-2 timing, something along those lines, and that's what you're really good at. And then you play someone who is considered to be the favorite better than you. You don't suddenly go, okay, even though I've only practiced this thing, I'm going to proxy 4 racks. Like, it's just, you play to your strengths. And that's what Vindicta is going to be able to do this game. He's not taking that early damage. And I know we said Scarlett had free reign to just drone, and she sits on a very nice number of drones right now. But Vindicta's economy is still good. We take a look at the income here, and we can see, Scarlett mining more, but as soon as mules come down on that third, it should start to even up here. SCVs were just transferring. Scarlett's is a little scary.
Sorry? The Spire is going to be finishing up right now as well, so Scarlett's going to be really ready to power into that Mutiling Bane composition. Of course, the downside of going for a Mutiling Bane style is that your upgrades are a fair bit slower, which does open up a couple of windows for Vindicta. Sometimes players will try to get a little bit aggressive off of the 1-1, but it's really the 2-2 push that is likely to dictate how the game goes sort of towards the later stages of the game. So Vindicta just being a little bit aggressive here. Having 1-1 is going to be really, really nice for this sort of double drop worth of Marines. Just able to thin out some lings, able to focus down mutas a little quicker, but I would not be surprised if we really saw him ramping up for a push in about 3 minutes or so.
Yes.
The armory, though, a little bit late. That's going to be delaying his 2-2 just a tad.
So I was thinking, we've seen a lot of this in EU recently, and that is the 2-2 8 rack timing, where you do not build a 4, you just get 2-2, and you go mass Marines. No Marauders, or very few.
I lied, Grant. This is a lot of units coming in from Vindicta.
Yeah.
Surround attempt here from Scarlett. Not going to get it immediately, but does get the cleanup. A lot of the Marines are being forced to drop back onto the high ground here, where they might be able to go after a couple of queens. There's just so many Banelings. And
Mutalists, Muta's finding a lot of damage. Did any of them go down? 1, that's nice. You want to try and slow the Mutalist production down and just pick off 1 wherever you can. Vindicta very, very lucky that the Mutas didn't swing to this third, because there's no defense here, and there was nothing even close. She could have had like every SCV or forced a very, very large scale retreat here from Vindicta, but she is a kind Canadian overseer and will allow Vindicta to survive for a little bit longer. Vindicta's still very healthy though. His 1-1 is done. His army supply is superior, or was for a moment. He's done a good job of denying creep. It's good up that North Avenue, or the sort of North-West Avenue, but it's kind of crappy through the actual middle of the map, which is where Vindicta is going to be pushing. He's going to be able to take down this queen. Yep, nice pick up there.
A couple of mutas there for one of the tanks, which is on paper a bad trade, but there's really only 2 tanks, and now there's only 1, which means that, of course, the Banelings are going to be vastly more effective. The splits coming out from Vindicta are good so far, but there just aren't that many Marines. There seem to be enough
Banelings left.
So more reinforcements streaming in from the south. Vindicta does have enough to at least make it a little bit uncomfortable for Scarlett right now. Army supplies are relatively even, but he absolutely needs to find damage here, and it doesn't look like he's going to do so.
No, this little gap in the creep ended up being fantastic for Vindicta for dodging Banelings, but GG, enough is